You know, every single day we get dressed. But have you ever really stopped to think that you're not just putting on clothes, you're actually speaking a language? Because what we wear says so much more about us than we might realize. It's a language all its own, and in the next few minutes, we're going to try to decode it.
No, really. Go ahead. Take a quick look down at what you have on right now. Did you choose it for comfort, for work? Is it a brand you absolutely love? Every one of those choices is like a word in a sentence. And that sentence, it connects you to something way bigger, your tribe. And that something bigger is usually what we call a subculture. Just think about it. All these groups that form around shared tastes in things like music, art, or hobbies. And one of the most powerful ways these groups identify themselves and each other is through their style. So let's really dig into that idea of a tribe. How can a simple piece of clothing, like a t-shirt or a pair of sneakers, act as this instant badge of honor, like a secret handshake that signals to others, hey, you're part of the club? And believe me, this is no small thing. Just take hip-hop fashion, for example. We're talking about $1 billion industry. $1 billion! This is so much more than just clothes. It's a massive cultural and economic force, all built on identity. Okay, so just imagine this conversation. It all starts with a simple question about a pair of shoes. It's a very specific, very recognizable item. The person asking isn't just complimenting the sneakers, they're sending out a signal. They're checking if you speak the same language. And boom, just like that, the connection is made. The conversation completely pivots from the shoes themselves to a shared interest, the artist Kanye West. You see, those shoes weren't just footwear. They were the key, the entry point into a whole shared world. What's happening here is actually pretty incredible. By choosing to wear something like Yeezys, you're basically broadcasting your affiliation with the hip-hop subculture. You're telling people what music you probably like, what culture you follow, all without having to say a single word. And this language isn't just limited to brand names. Look at this exchange. A simple graphic on a hoodie sparks a question, and suddenly we learn it's a finger heart, a symbol of love that's super popular in Korean culture. It's a perfect example of how clothing can communicate really specific ideas, even emotions sometimes, across cultural lines. But of course, it's not always that straightforward and positive. When we use appearance as a shortcut to understand people, well, things can get pretty complicated. So let's look at the other side of this coin. We've seen how style can connect us, how we can bring us together. But what happens when our assumptions based on someone's look are completely, totally off base? Just take a look at this stark contrast. On one side, you have the snap judgments people make about a man with neck tattoos. He must be intimidating. He looks scary. But then you see the reality on the other side. He's a tattoo artist, a friendly big teddy bear who actually loves to travel and talk to new people. You know, it's a classic saying for a reason. This story is just a powerful reminder that the visual signals we send can easily be misinterpreted, and a lot of the time, our first impressions are built on stereotypes, not on substance. And context is absolutely everything. To one person, a septum piercing might just scream unprofessional, but in another context, like a hair salon, that exact same piercing is seen as a mark of creativity and individuality. The meaning of the style changes completely depending on the subculture you're in. But these signals we send and the judgments that follow, they aren't just about social groups. They can also reflect our deepest values. And that's where the story of our clothes gets really complex, and it raises some major ethical questions that challenge the entire fashion industry. This is one of the biggest, most heated debates in fashion. It forces all of us to ask a really fundamental question. Where do our clothes come from? And what is the real cost? And there are two very clear sides here. One argument is purely practical. Since animals are already being raised for meat, it would be wasteful not to use their skins. But the counter-argument comes from a purely ethical place. Animals are killed and they suffer for fashion, and that is just fundamentally wrong. This is not a quiet debate either. Groups like PETA have used some really dramatic tactics, like throwing red paint on fur coats to symbolize blood, to make their point. Others use more conventional protests with signs and billboards, all aimed at shifting public opinion. So, in response to all this ethical pressure, the industry had to innovate. And that's where we get faux leather and faux fur, materials that mimic the look and feel of the real thing, but are made from non-animal substitutes.
Celebrity influence has been a huge driver of this shift. I mean, when famous actors and singers walk the red carpet in faux fur, they send a powerful message. You can be fashionable and socially responsible. They're making a statement that protecting animals can be the very height of style. So let's bring it all together. What starts as a simple personal choice, what to wear today, well, it becomes a social signal that connects you to a subculture. Then that signal becomes a point of judgment for others, whether they're right or wrong, and ultimately it can even become a major ethical statement about the values you represent.
Every single item in your closet is a word, a sentence, a chapter in your ongoing story. So the question I'll leave you with is this. When you get dressed tomorrow, what story will you choose to tell?